Everyone at the restaurant laughed when they saw her walk in baggy sweater, faded jeans, messy bun. Nothing about her looked date-ready. But the man sitting alone at table 7, the billionaire no one recognized, stood up the moment he saw her, while others whispered, mocked, and smirked. He stared at her like she was the only real person in the entire room. They didn't know that this ugly girl was about to change his life, and she didn't know that the man she thought was just a stranger was falling for her faster than he'd ever fallen for anything in his life. This is how their worlds collided. Lena Carter was exhausted. Emotionally, physically, financially. As a 29-year-old overworked cashier, she barely had energy to brush her hair, let alone dress up for a blind date forced on her by her best friend. Just go, her friend insisted. You deserve a good man. Lena scoffed. Men didn't look at girls like her, not anymore, not since her fiancé broke off their engagement 2 years earlier, saying, "You're just not enough for me." That line destroyed her confidence. Since then, she hid behind oversized sweaters and big glasses. It was easier than trying. So on the night of the blind date, she made a choice. She dressed so plainly that if the man didn't like her real self, he could leave easily. No expectations. No heartbreak. The restaurant was far too fancy for someone like her. Crystal lights, golden decor, wealthy guests dressed like royalty. She immediately regretted coming. People stared. Some snickered. One woman even whispered, "Is she lost?" Lena wanted to run, until a deep voice behind her said, "Lena?" She turned, and froze. Standing there was a breathtakingly handsome man, early 30s, sharp jawline, warm eyes, wearing a simple black shirt that still somehow looked expensive, but his smile felt like sunlight. I'm sorry," Lena stuttered. "You must be looking for someone else." He shook his head. "No. I'm here for you." Her heart slammed against her ribs, and that was the moment everything changed. His name was Ethan Hale. She didn't know he was one of the youngest billionaires in the country, owner of a massive tech empire. He didn't tell her. He didn't want her to know, because people treated him like a money machine, not a human being. But the way she looked at him, nervous, unsure, and honest, made him feel human again. They sat at table 7. Everyone watched them, expecting Lena to embarrass herself, but Ethan leaned in, voice gentle. "You look perfect, you know." Her cheeks heated. "You don't have to be polite." "I'm not being polite," he said firmly. "I'm being honest." For the first time in years, she felt seen. Not her clothes, not her appearance, her. They talked for an hour. Then 2. Then 3. He laughed at her dry humor. She softened at his sincerity. When she mentioned her ex-fiancé, her voice cracked. Ethan's jaw tightened. "He didn't deserve you," he said. "How do you know that?" "Because I can already see how rare you are." Her breath caught. No one had ever said that to her. As the night ended, Lena stood to leave. "This was nice," she whispered. "But I won't blame you if you don't want another date." "I know I'm not." He stepped closer. "Don't ever say that again." Her eyes widened. "Lena, I want to see you again. I want to know everything about you." Her heart fluttered, fear and hope tangled together. She didn't know if she could trust it, but she wanted to, and so she whispered, "Okay." Over the next few weeks, Ethan and Lena grew closer. They walked through parks, talked until sunrise, shared fears they'd hidden for years. Lena slowly came back to life, smiling more, laughing more, dreaming again, but she still didn't know the truth, until one morning, everything changed. Lena was at the grocery store where she worked. A black car pulled up. Reporters jumped out, shouting, "Ethan Hale! Over here!" Lena froze. Ethan stepped out of the car, in a suit, surrounded by security. The billionaire, her Ethan, was Ethan Hale. Her heart dropped to her stomach, not because he was rich, but because she felt fooled, lied to. Small. He rushed inside and found her hiding in the stockroom. "Lena, wait, don't," she whispered, trembling. "Just don't." Her chest ached. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I didn't want to lose you." "You thought I'd use you?" "No," he shook his head. "I thought you'd leave me." She blinked. "What?" Ethan stepped closer, voice shaking. "People judge me for my money. You judged me for my heart. You're the only woman who saw me, not the billionaire, not the empire, just me. Tears welled in her eyes, but hurt still lingered. Ethan. I just need time. She walked away slowly, heartbreaking. On the drive home, Ethan whispered to himself, I can't lose her. A week passed. Lena tried to forget him, but every music note, every street corner, every sunset reminded her. One snowy evening, she got a knock on the door. She opened it, and gasped. Ethan stood there, soaked from the snow, shivering, eyes red as if he hadn't slept. I'm not here as a billionaire, he said softly. I'm here as a man who is in love with you. Tears spilled from her eyes. I don't need fancy clothes, or makeup, or money, he continued. I just want you. The real you. The one who showed up in that old sweater and stole my heart. She covered her mouth. He stepped closer. You didn't dress ugly that night. You dressed honest. Her knees weakened, and I fell in love with you at first sight. His voice broke. Please, don't walk away. Lena's tears fell harder. In that moment, that raw, fragile moment, she realized, he wasn't the billionaire. He was the man who loved her gently, and she loved him too. She threw her arms around him, sobbing into his chest. You didn't lose me, she whispered. You never did. Snow fell around them, lights glowed. Their two worlds, one of struggle, one of wealth, collided not with chaos, but with love. Evelyn didn't sleep that night. She sat on her small, dimly lit sofa, staring at the floor, her thoughts swirling like a storm she couldn't escape. Why would a billionaire, a man who could date models, actresses, anyone he wanted, be interested in her? Her thrift store sweater, her scraped ponytail, her awkward jokes she thought he'd never laugh at, her clumsy walk, her nervous stuttering. Nothing about her felt worthy of a man like Liam. But then she remembered his eyes, warm, honest, unexpectedly gentle. That wasn't the gaze of someone mocking her. It was the gaze of someone seeing her. Meanwhile, across the city, Liam sat alone in his penthouse, a glass tower touching the stars, replaying her shy smile in his mind. He had never felt so unguarded, so human, so alive. His assistant knocked on his door, holding a thick file. Sir, everything you asked for about Evelyn Hale is inside. Liam took the file, then slowly pushed it away. No. I don't need it. If I learn her story, I want it to come from her, not a report. For the first time in his life, he didn't want power. He wanted honesty. He wanted her trust, and fate was already preparing to test that trust. 3 days later, Evelyn stood outside her workplace, a small floral shop that smelled like lavender and old secrets, arranging roses in the display. That's when she heard it. A voice dripping with cruelty. Oh my God. Evelyn? You went on a blind date? Her coworker Marissa, beautiful and venomous, strutted forward laughing loudly. I heard he was hot, but you went looking like a thrift store tornado. Evelyn's chest tightened. More coworkers joined, smirking, whispering. She wore an ugly sweater on purpose. She thought it'd scare him off. Imagine being that desperate. Evelyn forced a shaky smile. I wasn't trying to impress anyone. Marissa rolled her eyes. That's obvious. And then, like a movie scene unfolding, a sleek black car stopped in front of the shop. The door opened. Liam stepped out, tall, effortlessly handsome, confidence radiating from him like light. The laughter died instantly. Marissa froze, eyes wide. He walked straight to Evelyn. No hesitation. No shame. No hiding. In front of everyone. He reached for her hand. Evelyn, he said softly, I couldn't stop thinking about you. Her coworkers gaped. Marissa's jaw practically hit the pavement. Evelyn felt her cheeks burn as Liam smiled at her, the kind of smile a man gives only once he's sure. Would you go out with me again? Properly this time? She swallowed hard. Liam, you don't have to do this here. He gently squeezed her hand. I want to do this here. Silence, gasps, and a moment Evelyn would never forget, because for the first time in her life, someone chose her publicly, not because she wore something pretty, not because she tried to impress, but because she was herself. Their second date was nothing like the first. It wasn't awkward. It wasn't tense. It wasn't forced. It was simple. Evelyn wore her usual clothes, jeans, a cardigan, hair pulled back. Liam wore a hoodie instead of a suit. They walked by the river, laughed about their childhood failures, ate cheap ice cream from a cart, and talked about dreams they never admitted to anyone else. As the sun set, he turned to her. You know, he said quietly, I meet people every day who pretend to be perfect. She looked at him curiously, but you showed up imperfect on purpose. And that's what made you perfect to me. Her breath caught. Nobody's ever said anything like that to me. He brushed a loose strand of hair behind her ear. That's because they weren't looking closely enough. Her heart trembled, and then he whispered, I don't care what you wore. I care about who you are when the world isn't watching. Evelyn felt her walls crack, slowly, beautifully. A poor girl with nothing but kindness. A billionaire with everything except real love. Two worlds that should have crashed, but instead collided into something breathtaking. She didn't respond with words. She stepped closer, nervous but brave, and rested her head on his shoulder. Liam closed his eyes, letting out a breath that felt like destiny settling into place. For the first time in both their lives, the world felt right. The room fell silent as Mia stood in the doorway of the grand hall, her plain dress fluttering slightly from the cold draft. She hadn't meant to overhear the conversation, the one where Damien's family argued about her, about how a girl like her could never belong in their world. Her heart cracked, but she hid it behind the same quiet strength she had worn her entire life. Damien rushed after her. Mia, please, don't walk away. Not now. She turned, eyes shimmering. I should have known this was impossible. I tried to believe love didn't care about status, but maybe your world does. Damien stepped closer, voice trembling. My world? Mia, you became my world. I don't care about their money, their opinions, their conditions. I care about the woman who walked into that blind date wearing mismatched shoes and still stole my breath. She shook her head, tears finally falling. But you'll lose everything for me. Then Damien did something no one expected. He walked back into that hall, faced his family, and said with a steady voice, then let it be lost. Because if I have to choose between fortune and love, I choose her. Every time. Gasps echoed. His father stood stunned. His mother's eyes softened for the first time. Mia, breathless, watched him fight the battle she never asked him to fight. Damien returned to her, reaching out his hand. No more running. Not from them, not from the world, not from each other. Mia stepped forward, voice breaking. I don't deserve everything you're sacrificing. Yes, he whispered, pulling her into his arms, you deserve more than they could ever imagine. And when she finally let him hold her, the world around them fell away, leaving only two hearts choosing each other against every odd. The cameras flashed from the hallway, reporters had gathered, drawn by rumors. Photos of Damien holding the plain girl spread across the internet within minutes, and instead of mocking her, millions fell in love with their story. People wrote, she's real. Finally someone who loved him for him. This is what love is supposed to look like. The world that once separated them ultimately celebrated them, and as Mia stood beside Damien, fingers intertwined, she whispered, I walked into that date expecting nothing, but I walked out with everything. He kissed her forehead, and I walked in thinking I had everything, but I didn't, not until you. The screen fades on the two of them, not billionaire and girl, not rich and poor, just two souls who found each other in the most unexpected way.